Ready? Okay, so officers were dispatched to a found deceased female at the 1000 block of Red Hawk. This was at around 8 o'clock this morning. So it's a nude female, and that's all we have. We don't have any information on her yet, so if anybody knows her, give us a call. At this point, all we know is a white female, early 20s, and right now the medical examiner is working on getting an ID on her. It's going to be for case number 158-1511-20. It's going to be Officer Rivera with a homicide, R-I-V-E-R-A.
Who found her?
It was a City of Houston public service. They were driving by, and they saw the feet of the female in the bushes.
Was the body like bound by anything?
She was naked on the road. Well, not on the road, but on the side of the road.
Not tied up or anything?
No, sir. No, sir.
No signs of trauma?
No visible injuries at this point. So medical examiner is going to be doing a follow-up on that.
How about the nearby businesses? Were they able to have a surveillance or anything like that?
We are working on surveillance at this moment. There's one business that does have some.
Anything that might be
we haven't looked at it yet. We're still gathering information, gathering video.
Is it possible to tell how long the body's been there? Maybe?
It hasn't been too long, so we're thinking overnight.
Hey everyone, how's it going tonight? It's good to see all you guys here. Thank you for joining me. I'm Tyson Draper, and this is Tiger True Crimes. And tonight we're going to be talking about a case out of Houston, Texas. I kind of gave you that little interview there with the detective to introduce this case tonight. This is a case, like I said, from Houston, Texas. It's 26-year-old female by the name of Alexis Sharkey. And at that time, obviously, they hadn't identified the body yet. So what I wanted to do is kind of walk you through this case. I don't know if any of you guys have had the chance to do any research on this case, but it's one that's very familiar to a lot of you guys that have been following the Suzanne Morphew case. Some similarities. I mean, there's differences, but of course, every case is different, but there are some similarities with the significant other, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit tonight. So first and foremost, I want to say hi to all of you guys. Sonny Austin, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Shivani, Justice Janney, Tracy Lassie, thank you for moderating for us tonight. Maui Girl, if you want to get that wrench back, I was trying to give it to you earlier. So thank you guys for moderating, but thank you all for being here. I'm glad you guys are joining us. I want to kind of introduce this case tonight about Alexis Sharkey for several different reasons, because I don't want it to go cold. I feel like the investigators have quite a bit of information on this case, and they're holding it close to the vest. They're just waiting for the right time. I thought there would be an imminent arrest right after her autopsy came back, but it hasn't happened yet. So anyway, let's start out from the beginning. Who was Alexis Sharkey? I want to show you guys a couple of things just to kind of introduce you to her. She was a small town girl from Youngstown, Pennsylvania. She grew up on the lake there, and as a result of growing up there in that cold weather, she decided that she didn't like cold weather, and she loved the South. And so when she got old enough, she ventured out into the world. She went to the South, and then she went, of course, west, and where we had warmer weather. And so she was just out enjoying life. She became a she got her degree, first of all, in she was going to do, she was pre-med, basically. She was going to become a doctor. And we're going to get into that kind of stuff a little bit later. But 26 years old, beautiful girl, and from Pennsylvania. She was living in Houston, Texas at the time of her death, like we mentioned. And she, you know, I found earlier when I was doing my research that she had lived in Grand Junction, Colorado for a short time. So I didn't know that. We have a lot of connections to Colorado, it seems like, lately, but she lived up there for a short time, then moved to Midland, Texas area, and then on to Houston. So, but if you guys haven't had a chance to hear her talk or see her, I'm going to show you a video real quick. And I found some interesting stuff in this, but I'm just going to show you part of it for the sake of time. We got a great show here tonight, guys. We got a lot of stuff that I want to cover tonight. Not just about the Alexis Sharkey case, but we have a surprise guest with us, and I see her backstage. I'm excited to welcome Teresa Fountain here tonight. She's going to be visiting with us about Suzanne Morphew, and this is an unexpected surprise. So thank you, Teresa, for being here. That's coming later, so just sit tight, everyone. In the meantime, let me show you this real fast, guys. I want to show you this this video that I found on Web Sleuths regarding Alexis Sharkey. Take a look at this. Let me pull it up. Bear with me for 1 second.
Hey guys, so I went and got my extensions, the sew-in versions, put in yesterday. So this is the day after. All I did was brush it a bunch of times. But yeah, I asked if you guys wanted a video on this because I seem to get a lot of questions about extensions. I've tried so many different types and y'all said yes, so you're welcome. Just kidding, but I took a video of what my hair looked like the night before I went. It's not terribly short. It's not that I have like hair up to here and I really wanted like this huge change like I had in the past. I just truly wanted it to be a little bit thicker, a little bit longer for the wedding coming up in April. Getting married in Vegas. But anyways, it doesn't matter. But that's why I went and got these done. I wanted to try sew-ins because I've been hearing such great things about them. So many stylists have been switching to them that I know. And I've talked to a few that have done the other ones I've done in the past, and they prefer these more now. I've done T-pins, I've done the micro beads, I've owned clip-ins, I've owned the Halo Wefts. I've done so many different types. And truly, I think that these are my favorite now, and I understand why. So
All right, let me stop that video real quick. Hold on 1 second. Oh, it's still playing. All right. Sorry about that. I had to stop that video. But, you know, one thing I found interesting in that video right from the beginning was she talked about her upcoming wedding in April. And we all know that she died on, or maybe some of you don't know, she was found, as the detective said in the beginning, on November 28th of last year, 2020, and right the day after Thanksgiving. And so she was only married about 6 or 7 months to Tom Sharkey. I found that interesting that she talked about her upcoming wedding in April. But did you guys notice what she said right after she mentioned her wedding? Let me see if I could play that again, because I picked up a little like golden nugget, I feel like, in here. Let's take a look at this. Let me show it one more time. I want to replay that and watch when she talks about her wedding. I want you guys to see this.
on this because I seem to get a lot of questions about extensions. I've tried so many different types and y'all said yes, so you're welcome. Just kidding. But I took a video of what my hair looked like the night before I went. It's not terribly short. It's not that I have like hair up to here and I really wanted like this huge change like I had in the past. I just truly wanted it to be a little bit thicker, a little bit longer for the wedding coming up in April. Getting married in Vegas. But anyways, it doesn't matter. But that's why I went and got these done. I wanted to try.
All right, maybe I don't know. To you guys, it might not have been that big of a deal, but to me, that kind of jumped out at me that she said, "Anyway, it doesn't really matter about my wedding." You know, she just didn't seem like she was very excited about it. You know, usually when people are talking about their wedding, they're all excited, they're all giddy. You know, and she just didn't have that. She didn't have that sparkle in her eye. She didn't have that that enthusiasm, you know, that you would expect from an upcoming wedding, especially your own. She just kind of like downplayed it, like, who cares? You know, let's move on. Let's talk about hair extensions. I thought it was kind of weird, to be honest with you. So that's Alexis Sharkey. I wanted to show you that video. I know a lot of people have seen the pictures of her. I showed some of the pictures last time with her husband, Tom. He looks like Tom the Barbarian. He's a big guy. So anyway, the video that I showed in the beginning was the detective. They didn't know who she was when they first found her because she was naked. And I have a theory about why she was naked. We're going to talk about that a little later too. So on November 28th, she went missing, and her mom posted a post on Facebook that said, basically, our daughter Alexis is missing. Please help. Please share. You know, the same stuff that everybody says when somebody's missing. You know, to share it and keep your eye out. Please help. Stuff like that. Well, in the meantime, they got a phone call from Tom Sharkey, the husband, that came a little bit later in the day, and he said that he hadn't heard from her. He hadn't seen her. He hadn't seen her for a while. And what I found interesting about that is he didn't report her missing to law enforcement. He just called mom and dad. Now, what else would be interesting to know is if he called and said, "Hey, she's missing," and just, started out with that tone instead of, "Hey, have you guys seen her? Have you heard from her? Do you know what's going on?" Stuff like that. It'd be interesting to know what that conversation was like. But nevertheless, he did call and talk to the mom. And so this is what she had to say. I'm going to show you guys several different videos tonight. So just bear with me. I kind of like doing this because it tells the story a lot better than I can. And it's interesting. So let me see if I can show you this real fast. So they found the body. The body was naked. And so they didn't know who it was. And then a short time later, the medical examiner identified it as 26-year-old Alexis Sharkey. And so I'm going to share a video now with her mom. So hold on one second. I think this is the right one. Let me make sure. Let's see. I think it's actually the. Okay. I think it's this one right here.
Now to the death of a young Texas woman who was a popular figure on social media. She worked as an influencer on Instagram, and she was found dead on the side of the road naked. Her mother believes she was murdered. ABC's Megan Tavrizian has more on this growing mystery.
This morning, the mystery deepening into the death of an Instagram influencer.
She was kind to everyone. She made sure everyone was included. She was a friend to literally all.
Alexis Sharkey found dead along this road in Houston Saturday. The 26-year-old had a large social media presence, pushing organic health products to more than 20,000 followers on Instagram. Her friends say she feared for her safety in recent weeks, worried about someone close in her life, but not elaborating.
I looked at her and I was like, she's petrified. This girl is scared for her life.
Alexis's mother saying she believes her daughter was murdered.
From what I've been able to gather, as well as a mother's gut, I learned very young as a mom to trust my gut. And it's not let me down.
On Saturday, Alexis's husband called her mother to say Alexis was missing. Reporter Steve Campion from our Houston station spoke to him.
Quite honestly, it was a strange conversation. He was very upset. He said that he had been talking to detectives, that he did everything in his power to find his wife, but he abruptly ended the conversation, hanging up on me, in fact, saying he did not want us to contact him again.
Alexis's mother posting to Facebook, writing, "Please help us find her and bring her home safely. We are so very desperate. Please share." But a garbage truck worker finding Alexis's body. Authorities say she had no visible injuries.
It's so painful for someone so bright and having so much to offer just to be gone, snuffed out. And I don't know why.
Alexis's mom said the two talked just last week about Christmas plans. The cause of her death is pending an autopsy. Ken, Mona.
Megan, thank you.
All right, so there's a lot of stuff that we could pull out of that little clip right there, from the friends, from the mom, and but it was interesting that the friends said that, well, they said that she was terrified, because they had a little girls trip. They went to another little town in Texas. It was called like Marfa or Morphew or something like that, but they went on a road trip there together, the girlfriends, and that's where she revealed to those girls that she was terrified of somebody that was close to her. She didn't want to elaborate on any details, but she was telling them that she was in a bad situation. And I don't know the extent of that conversation or if there were more, conversations that happened. But she was alluding to the fact that she was unhappy with Tom and that she was fearful of somebody that was very close to her. And I read reports, I couldn't confirm them, so I don't know the validity of them really, but that he was actually quite abusive to her. But again, I don't know that for sure. Nobody really knows that for sure, but the friends did verify that she was unhappy. So, they went a step further and said that she was terrified or petrified. So that speaks volumes there, ladies and gentlemen. I want to show you now, I want to pull up a map here just to kind of give you an idea of where this all took place. This was right off the freeway, the Katy Freeway, Texas. And I have a friend, an acquaintance there that her name's Michelle. And I don't know if she's here tonight or not, but she went by the different spots over there where they found Alexis's body and stuff like that and took some pictures. But I got kind of a really good idea of what happened. I want to show you kind of what my theory is here. So let me pull that up real fast. This is going to be a map of where Alexis and Tom lived and where her body was found. It was about 3 miles between the two. So let's see if I can get that pulled up here. Okay, so if let's see. All right, let me back out of this. But so we have let me see what they were called. I can't remember off the top of my head. So right over here is where Alexis lived. Okay. And over here, about 3 miles away, is where her body was found on a little tiny lane called Red Haw. And I'm going to be zooming this in just a minute, but let's take a look first of all over here at where she lived. Now, I'm pretty much 100% positive this is where she lived. It took a lot of research to find it, but I'm pretty positive this is where it was. So this is called the Grove at Willcrest apartment complex. Okay. So you can see how close it is to the Katy Freeway, I-10, I believe that is. So if you look around, you can see there's a lot of businesses here. There's a fishing store here. There's a marketplace. Over here on this side, there's a Homes to Hilton, or Homes, like there's a McDonald's right here. Okay. And there's just a lot of businesses in that area. So Tom's story is that the last time he saw Alexis, that she and he were in an argument, and she jumped over the wall and got in a car and left her. She has a white Jeep, and she left her car and her phone and everything there. Well, one would assume that when she left, that she would go down the freeway, right? But remember, she's walking, she's on foot. And so she would have to walk the 3 miles to get all the way over to here. So obviously she's not going to be on the interstate. If she did walk all the way, she would have to take this frontage road and come over here. Now I'm going to zoom in on that area, because I'm going to be making a point here in just a minute. I want to show you guys kind of the theory that I came up with. Okay, so right in here is where they found her body. This is called Red Hot Lane right here. They actually found her body right here on the side of the road. Okay. And if you guys are following this case, you may have heard that they have surveillance video, that investigators are looking at it. And I think the detective in the beginning mentioned that they had it from one business, and I thought it was interesting that he said, we have it from one business. Now, look at all these businesses. I mean, there's hundreds of businesses. Why don't they have a lot of footage? Well, there's a reason for that. I believe I have a theory anyways of what happened. So I'm going to zoom in here a little closer to where her body was. You can see, I want you to remember this building right here, because I'm going to show you another picture in just a minute that you're going to see that. But yeah, it was, I believe that her body was found right around in here somewhere. There was some thick brush, and somebody just dumped her out right here on the side of the road naked. So that kind of gives you a bird's eye view, guys. Now you can see how populated it is. Again, there's a lot of businesses until you look back here in the back. Now look at how vacant and how desolate this is back here. Okay. So there's also a road back here that, from what I've been able to find out, is it's very dark along this street at night, very dark. So if you look at the proximity of the apartment where she lived to this road, it's not very far. So what my theory is, I'm going to close this out. You guys kind of have an idea of it now, and I'm going to go back and take your questions here in a second, but let me close this out real fast. All right. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? What are your comments? It's pretty interesting that there's so many businesses and it's so populated that the officer said they probably only have surveillance from one business, and it was the hair salon. I can't remember the name, like Gentry Studios or something like that. Said they had some video, but Teresa, are you still here? I had her in here backstage and she disappeared, so I'm not sure what happened. But anyway, what I think happened is, this is my opinion, this is speculation, but that's what I like about YouTube, is we can do that and we can have our opinions, and everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But I believe that Tom is definitely involved in this. I don't believe that a woman is going to leave her apartment, especially an Instagram influencer and leave her phone, leave her purse, leave her car, and just walk off. I don't think that's even feasible. I don't care, if she has a lot to drink or whatever the case may have been, whatever Tom's saying. I just don't think that a woman's going to do that. Hold on one second, guys. Can you guys still hear me? Because it looks like the comments are frozen up or frozen. So, okay. Anyway, why was she naked? Why was she naked? That's the question that I really pondered today. Why was she naked? Because I think that's twofold. I think there's two reasons why. We know that Alexis died of strangulation. That's been confirmed. And I believe that it happened in the house, in her house, in her apartment. And we don't have a lot of details, and I'm totally just speculating here, but this is how I think it went down. I think she was strangled in the house, and if you guys remember what happened with Suzanne Watts, I'm getting kind of worried, guys, because my comments are like, everything's froze up here. I'm hoping you guys are still there and I wasn't cut off. Can you guys still hear me? I've never had this happen before, so I hope you guys are still there. But anyway, what happened with Suzanne Watts is when Chris strangled her, she lost control of her bowels. I guess, that's common. That's what happens. And I think that the same thing probably happened with Alexis. And so, she probably defecated herself. And Tom, I believe, there it goes. Okay, now it kicked back on. Just took a little bit. Tom, I believe, didn't want to deal with that. So he probably stripped her down and put her in the bathtub to wash her up and also to wash away any evidence that may have been there. If there was a fight, which there probably was, some kind of a struggle, maybe, she may have had DNA under her fingernails. She may have had DNA on her clothes. There may have been blood. That, they said that there was probably not any blood or anything like that. There was no trauma to the body, but you never know. Somebody could have got a bloody nose or something like that. But that's my opinion on that. So Tom probably got her, all cleaned up and then decided, how am I going to dispose of this body? Went on that back road and then went and dumped her over there on Red Haw Lane. I don't know. Tom's behavior is very suspicious. That news guy from ABC 13, he was talking about Tom's behavior being very strange when he talked to him. And he's the only person Tom's talked to, apparently. He put a couple things on Facebook and Instagram telling people to back off and that they don't know the whole story and all this and that. It's typical Barry Morphew type stuff. And so anyway, as he was talking to this news guy, he abruptly ended the conversation. He just stopped and said, "Hey, I don't want you guys to ever contact me again. Like, I'm never talking to you guys again." So I don't know. I thought that was really weird. I want to show you something else from Tom. Let me see if I can put it up on the screen here. This is a statement that he put out. I think it was on Instagram right about this time that Alexis went missing. This is what I was talking about. He says, I just want to say this. While some of you were posting on social media helping us locate my world, and we appreciate all of your help, love, and support, others were wasting time talking about other things, basically crap talk. And if my wife would have seen this, she would have been disappointed in your actions. You all should be very ashamed of yourselves. I have been assisting the deputies and making phone calls to find out what happened to my wife. Next time, stop and think and realize you don't know it all. You know, one thing I noticed there, things just kind of jump out at me. And the more we get into this, guys, and the better we get at being like investigators or sleuths or whatever you want to call us, we start to pick up on similarities across these cases. There's similarities. One thing I noticed about Barry Morphew is, and I don't know about Chris Watts because I haven't paid attention to him in a long time, but with Barry Morphew, I heard him say Suzanne's name one time when he said, "Oh, Suzanne." That's the only time I ever heard him say her name. And the other times he always referred to Suzanne as my wife. And that's what Tom did here. Look at this again. It says, he goes, and we appreciate your love or your help, love, and support. Others were wasting time talking about other things, basically crap talk. And if my wife would have seen this, you know, I think that's weird that a lot of these guys, they don't call them by their name. They don't say their name. They just say my wife. Now, there may be nothing to that, but to me, it's weird. We saw it a lot with Barry Morphew. I wanted to point that out too. And I'm going to start watching that to see if that's more of a trend, because I think it was happening with Chris Watts too, when he wasn't referring to her as Shanann. He was referring to her as my wife. All right. So let me go over to the comments real quick, guys, because I haven't had a chance to look at these yet. I'm trying to stay on track here. I've got several things I want to talk about tonight. So let's just go over here real quick. Locate my world. Somebody says, yeah. It's what they always say, right? So what are your thoughts on that, guys? Here's from Tracy L. I'm going to put your comment up here first, Tracy. It is a trend, Tyson, and body language. People say it common also. Yeah, it is a trend. I've seen it. It's weird. It's almost like they can't muster up the courage to say their name, you know, because there's something subconsciously going on where they can't muster up enough courage to say their name. It's weird. Let's see what the joy catcher. When their name brings you peace and you feel you say their name. Yeah, I agree, Joy Catcher. So I thought that was weird. So there was a couple of red flags. One with Alexis, when she mentioned her wedding, it was like, you know, and to me, that body language, it was all wrong. It was all wrong. For a young girl, young woman that is getting married soon to act like that and just to kind of blow it off and not elaborate or anything. It was wrong. And I haven't had a chance to look at this case too much, Maui Girl. I want to. I had a lot of people reach out to me and say I should. So, okay. And serendipity, I like what you put. Not saying the name equals distancing from the crime. Exactly. Exactly. That was what I was trying to say. And Sally Birch had the same idea. They're trying to distance themselves. Okay, Cheshire Mercury, let's see what you have to say. Tom's ex filed restraining order for her and their kids. He was threatening and stalking her at work. The judge ruled in her favor. It's on public record. Okay. So Tom had some kind of a history. You know, and the fact, I also thought it was weird. I don't know, guys. Maybe I'm a little bit old fashioned or something, but I thought it was weird, the age gap. You know, I was really trying to rack my brain, trying to figure out why Alexis married him. I don't know if he had a lot of money. He didn't seem like he did. I know he was working in the oil field. Maybe he saved up a bunch of money. I don't think she married him for love. I mean, she didn't seem like she was in love with him, everything that I watched and everything that I heard. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just speculating here, guys. But, you know, I just feel like it's going to be another situation that we've seen with Barry Morphew. And that's why this case really caught my attention, was because of the similarities. But I think there's going to be an arrest in this case a lot sooner. I think there's going to be an arrest coming. Now, law enforcement in Houston, Texas, with this case, they're not saying anything. I mean, they're very tight-lipped. They don't want to jeopardize this case at all. So flattery, yeah, flattery may be another reason why. I don't know. But to me, it wasn't a good couple. They weren't a good match, you know? So, yeah, I'm just looking at your comments here. I'm going to put this one up here real fast. It's by Sonny Austin. I have a friend, Tyson, just like this. Inside, they have insecurities, and outside, they're beautiful. I'm a go-to these steroid guys that think of him as trophy wives. Yeah, we see it a lot nowadays. You know, if they were having marital problems so early on, it makes you wonder if, you know, she was probably having second thoughts right from the beginning. You know, some things probably happened in the beginning. She saw a side of him that she had never seen before. She wanted out, and he wasn't having it. All right. So I got Teresa waiting, guys. I don't really want to keep her waiting anymore. So I'm going to shift gears here real quick and bring on Teresa. We're going to talk a little bit about the Suzanne Morphew case. I really hadn't planned on doing this tonight, but she said she was available, and I didn't want to miss this opportunity. So we can come back and close this one out at the end. But you know, it's a sad case. It's a terrible, when you sit and listen to Alexis's mom and her family, they're just grieving and they're heartbroken, as you can imagine. It's terrible what they're going through, missing their beautiful family member, Alexis. All right, Teresa, I'm going to add you here. It doesn't look like she's going to show us her face. Are you going to show us your face, Teresa, or we just get to see your picture?
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How is everybody tonight? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Let's see if everybody else can. Can you guys hear Teresa? This is Teresa Fountain, and this is one of Suzanne Morphew's friends. And it's a pleasure to have you on tonight, Teresa. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I just don't know where to begin. You know, this just shook everybody up, you know, more than what people realize. It's really just earth-shattering, you know. But I grew up. Do you have any questions before I start speaking?
Well, not really. You go ahead, and then we'll ask you questions.
Okay. I grew up in Anderson, Indiana, which is where the kids, you know, Andy and his family, and they lived in the same county in Alexandria area. So, but I grew up in Anderson, Indiana, and, you know, went to, you know, school, grew up, but I really didn't get to know Suzanne very well until we both were affected by cancer. I had thyroid cancer diagnosis, and then she was diagnosed with a blood cancer, lymphoma, leukemia, lymphoma, and we actually got closer during the Relay for Life events through the American Cancer Society that they have yearly. It's to raise money for cancer research for all cancers.
Mm-hmm.
And these events were 24-hour events where you camped out, you had teams, so on, so on. So we got to know each other through our cancer journey. So that really, that really brought us so close, and at a time that we were both weak, and unsure of our futures, But,
yeah, absolutely.
Time had went by, and I was a surgery nurse at the medical center up in Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, sorry about that.
That's okay.
My ring doorbell. I just stepped outside. My dog was going to start barking. I was a surgery nurse at the medical center in Anderson for 25 years in surgery, and so I took early retirement. And my kids were grown and in college, and I just went through a divorce as well. But long story short, life moves on. So I had downsized my home to a smaller home because I knew eventually I'd want to move to Florida, because of health issues, to move down here to feel better. And that was my reasoning, to move to Florida most of the year. Now I do have a home still up in Anderson.
Okay.
I go home. I still go home. It's still my home up there, but I'm in Florida most of the year. But long story short, I had moved, and I had kept close in contact with Suzanne. And before they were going to move from the Arcadia home, Arcadia, Indiana is north of Alexandria, north of Anderson. And that's where her and Barry's home was.
Okay, Teresa, I want to just ask you a quick question. So you didn't know Suzanne until, so Suzanne started doing her treatments there in Anderson, and that's where you guys started connecting. So tell us about,
yeah.
Can you tell us about that first day you guys met? What was that like?
It was at the Relay for Life cancer event. It was through the American Cancer Society. And it was a 24-hour event. And everything was fine. Okay, so the next year came around, because it's a yearly event, and it's to raise money for all cancers.
Mm-hmm.
The next year came around May, June, usually around May, June, because up in Indiana, the weather, that it has to be warmer weather.
Right.
So the next year came. Every year we did it together, but the last time I did it before I moved down here to Florida, I cannot recall which year it was, 2012 or whatever it was. That was the last time that I was with Suzanne. This was the last time. And Barry came to the survivors meal. They always have the survivors always get a catered meal at the event. Mm-hmm. And there's all kinds of ceremonies and things all through the 24 hours. But anyway, Barry came to that event the last time I was up there with Suzanne when I was still living full time up in Indiana. And Barry had come to the evening. Actually, he didn't come to the dinner. He didn't come to the survivors dinner. He came later on to the candlelight service. And he brought his lawn, everybody brought their lawn chairs, and it's a pretty long service. And he didn't talk to anybody. He just acted like he had a chip on his shoulder. I didn't pay much attention to it because I was paying attention to the speakers, listening to the ceremony. My mind was on that, not him. I didn't know, he was going to turn out the way he was. And all of a sudden, after the ceremony was done, Suzanne was up mingling with friends, and he just looked really angry, and Barry acted very angry, and he took his foot and just snapped his lawn chair, and he left. He just left Suzanne there. So I didn't know. I didn't think anything of it, and she didn't say anything either. Okay. And we never discussed it. I didn't know if he had to go pick up his girls at cheer practice or at cheer camp or what was, I didn't know what was going on,
Yeah, but did it seem like it was in a haste? Would he seem like he was angry, that type of stuff?
Yeah, because I was still sitting there and just relaxing because it's a 24-hour event. And I just wasn't, I was probably right across from him. There's hundreds of people there.
So when that happened, did Suzanne act surprised, or was it like this kind of stuff happened all the time? Was it kind of like, oh, he does that all the time type of stuff? What was your take on that?
She was up mingling with her friends and not, giving him attention, I guess. The way I think of it now, she didn't even know he left. I saw him take his chair and kind of take his boot and kind of just his shoe and just kind of, kind of pushed it together and left. And I thought it was kind of odd when I think back now how odd that was, how he just never told her goodbye. He never said anything. Right. And he just left because she was with friends and having a good time. And I don't know if she was going through all this for all these years or not, but she didn't even know he left her. And she came back and she looked around, and I didn't say anything, and she didn't say anything either. And I didn't. It's a situation you don't know if he maybe agreed to go pick up the kids from an event at school or what. I don't know. But yeah, Suzanne is so meek, and she's meek and so soft and so kind and caring and giving. And she never said a word about it. As I think today, she never said a word about it. And before they moved, or when they put their house up for sale, when they were going to move to Colorado, they had a big cookout. And I was there, and I didn't know Barry that well. I knew Suzanne, but not Barry that well. But he was with all the guys, and he just wasn't. They weren't mixing it well together. They just weren't together. The guys are with how the men are with the men, women talking, and you just don't think anything of it,
Right.
But when I look back, it's like, was she going through all this for all these years, maybe? Yeah. Maybe she was crying for help and nobody knew it because she's a person. She's so quiet. And she loves the Lord so much. And I know that she had to be secretly been in pain and hurting and feeling lonely.
Yeah.
But the last time I talked to her was January 30th. Last January 30th. She called and I had just had my home completely redone, completely refurbished, all my whole home. And I was having some of the other girls from Anderson, they were flying down in February.
Mm-hmm.
And she had called me January 30th. And wanted to come visit me. She said she needed to get away. And she just needed to get away to, warm weather and some sunshine and she needed rest. And I knew her cancer had relapsed before they had moved, it had relapsed. Her cancer had relapsed over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, maybe that's what it was. It's probably part of that because I know how that goes. When you're sick, the sun makes you feel better,
Yeah.
But she told me, she called me on January the 30th of 2000. And
Of what year?
it was last January, not the January of 2000. It was last January. She called me last January.
So that would have been like 5 months before she went missing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And she called me and wanted to come, and she said she needed to get away. She needed rest. And she was tired. And I didn't put anything together. You don't think of things until something happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, call me. Go ahead and call me. I gave her the time to call me because I had things going on in my church. So she called me and she said, well, I'll call you because she said Barry will be at a chili cook-off at the fire department or somewhere, wherever, EMS department, wherever he was supposed to be at some chili cook-off. And she said, I'll have time. I can talk to you then. So she called me and we talked a long while. And we were looking at airlines and flights, the closest one to my home where she could fly in easily. I could go get her or whatever. And the other girls from Anderson were going to be flying down too, and not all the same day, but just straggling,
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we could all be together. So I was talking to Suzanne probably for a good 45 minutes. We were looking through flights and times and return flights and times, things like that. And she had a wish list of things. I had her write a wish list that the things that she wanted to do when she came. And after we talked 45 minutes, all of a sudden I hear this big voice. You're not going anywhere. Who are you talking to? You're not going anywhere. And wow, I was like, that had to be Barry because I know his voice. I can't say it was because it wasn't on FaceTime or anything, but I heard him. Who are you talking to? You're not going anywhere. And she said, I'm so sorry. She said, I have to go. I'm so sorry. I'll call you back another day. And she didn't call me back. And I figured maybe it was because COVID, but COVID was not bad on January 30th last year. It was just beginning in Europe.
Yeah.
So it couldn't have been Barry's excuse. And the way he sounded was so gruff, like a bear. And I just think maybe she was coming down here to get away.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah. Well, Teresa, we're not going to have the answers, and
I know.
we're going to have a lot of questions, but you can't beat yourself up or think of, what might have been or what, I should have done this, I should have done that, I mean, so,
I should have checked on her, but I just think maybe I think he just wanted her under his wraps at all times. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I got a quick question for you. So, after that conversation, you guys never brought the trip up again. It was never brought up again. It was just kind of like done. I know COVID was right around the corner. In March is when it really started hitting out here, but did you guys ever bring it up again?
She said she would call me back when she was able to call me back, and I waited, and then time got away and COVID started getting crazy, and
yeah,
I had company in and out of here all that time until we locked down in March.
Mm-hmm.
I always have a lot of company that comes down here. People in and out, family, grandkids, friends. I have a lot of house guests, but
yeah.
She said she would call me back when she was able to talk. So then I thought maybe it was the COVID. Maybe it was COVID. Maybe that's why he said that like he did. But no, COVID was not even a problem here on January the 30th because everybody else was booking trips down here.
Yeah. We had no idea at that time that it was going to blow up the way that it did. We were looking at it more like it was kind of like some of those other viruses that had kind of came and went. We didn't know it was going to be as big as it was. So it couldn't have been that back on January 31st. I think that was just Barry's nature. But so
do you have any more other questions? Does anybody have any questions? Because it's.
Well, I tell you what we'll do is I do have questions. I'd like to know a little bit more about Suzanne's nature and stuff like that. But what I'll do first is let me turn it over to our subscribers here and let them ask a few questions, if you don't mind. Would you be okay with that?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you so much, Teresa, for being here again. And I know this is not easy for you. And I know I've asked you, I think I asked you probably like 4 months ago, and you just weren't ready to do it then. And so I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you. I know this is not easy.
Yeah, I had a family member pass away of COVID, so I had to go home to Indiana for a while. Everything was topsy-turvy for a while, but
oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
That's okay. That's fine. But anyway, yes, thank you so much for having me. And I hope to God that I just pray that she's at least found, because the family needs peace. I hope she's found. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. We all do.
Yeah, we want her found, but then do we really want to find flying. I mean, I still think he took her to I think he took her to Indiana, because out there where they lived in Arcadia, there's old barns. It's flat. That land's flat in Indiana. It's flat as a pancake out there. You know, cornfields, soybean fields. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I just wonder if he put her somewhere and then moved her, and then if he took and traded his truck in. I don't know if that was true. If he took his truck and drove it there and traded his truck in.
Yeah.
I just wondered if he transported her back to Indiana somewhere, or in between.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's definitely a possibility, you know. I had kind of I want to share an experience with you, Teresa, and with everybody that's going to hear this. And some people may think that this is way out in left field, but I don't think it is. And I want to share it with you. Right before I went to Maysville and ran into Barry and kind of got all this started, I was looking at flipping houses, because during the summers, I started flipping houses years ago. My dad and we kind of went in business together. That's how I learned how to do all the trades and whatnot. Well, anyway, I got on eBay, of all places. That's really not a place you go to look for a house, right? But I got on eBay and they were selling houses really cheap across the country. And I found one in Marion, Indiana, and I bought it. And I actually went out to Marion. Do you know where Marion's at?
Yes, it's north of Madison County.
Yeah, it's pretty close to Anderson, isn't it? Just like maybe 20 or 30 miles.
It's just north. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
about
anyway,
25-minute drive.
Yeah, so I bought this house, and I went out there and I spent a little time fixing it up and flipped it. But I just thought, how weird, because the first night I went out there, I drove from Arizona. It was a long drive, as you can imagine. And I got to I got to Marion, and it was rough, man. There was a lot of hoodlums running around downtown. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a rough little town, a lot of drugs. And so I'm like, man, I can't, the house that I bought, it was a total fixer upper. And anyway, I ended up driving all the way back down to Anderson and getting a hotel and staying the night there. And this is before I knew anything about Suzanne or Barry or anything like that. But how strange. I mean, how strange is that? It's almost like, I mean, you can call it weird. You guys can call me weird if you want, but it's almost like, man, is there a higher power? Is there something going on? So to hear you say that she might be in Indiana, I mean, I've definitely thought that over more, many, many times.
He knows those country roads, and he knows those farms. He went to Purdue University for horticulture.
Mm-hmm.
He graduated with horticulture, okay? And that's farming and landscaping and on and on. And he's done something to. Where is she? What did he?
Yeah.
He spent more time on selling. He has spent more time on selling assets of Suzanne's. Her car, all her assets are sold. He spent more time doing that, getting legal advice, going to court, more time doing that than looking for his wife's body.
Yeah. He hasn't done, like I said before, he hasn't done anything that I've seen. He hasn't done anything. It's truly a shame. And not only is it a shame, but it speaks volumes about what's really going on, in my opinion.
But, I just hope she didn't have to live. I hope she didn't have to live like that. Being controlled all those years, I just pray to God, because because when I talked to her on January 30th, she just was she was tired. And
Yeah.
I don't think she was happy in Colorado. I don't think she was happy there.
Well, Teresa, I want to ask you, and I didn't really put up any questions from the comments, but because I didn't really see any popping up there. So I'll go ahead and ask the ones I have. What kind of a relationship did Suzanne have with her daughters? Were they close? What kind of a relationship was that? Do you know?
They were close. They were close when they were more close when they were younger. But I think when she got her cancer, I think when she got her cancer is when it came back. I think when she had the first time they didn't have the kids. I can't remember the second time when she relapsed. I think it just kind of changed the kids. I don't know 100%. I wasn't with her kids much, maybe one or two times,
Did she mention them quite often in your guys' conversations, like, oh, my girls and I, or my girls this and that, or whatever?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like shopping, and they go up to the coffee shops together, and talking about Christmas and going to her mother's. Just stuff like that. But nothing. I didn't mingle in with her girls much because they were busy with cheerleading, swim team, that age.
Yeah, they got a lot going on in their lives, and
you know how it is with kids,
absolutely, for sure, they're so busy.
School,
especially at that age.
Yeah, and it was just like mainly, the norm, nothing out of normal of being a mother, But Suzanne, she was just a beautiful soul that she lit up a whole room. Her smile and her eyes had a twinkle in them.
Yeah.
So
that's what I hear.
I just pray to God that whatever happened, it comes.
Yeah.
It comes soon, but the family needs closure, and I don't understand the girls either. I don't understand.
No, none of us do. It's just, it makes no sense. Do you know
when we saw Sarah and her sister, hunting for their mother, Sarah and
Megan?
Yeah, Sarah and Megan, how they were out looking for their mother. And I can't understand these two. I hate to put judgment on them. But as I was listening to them, I'm like, these are two daughters looking for their mom. I'm like, where is Suzanne's daughters? Why aren't they looking for their mom? I don't understand it.
Yeah, none of us do, unless
Barry handing out money to them. What's Barry doing? Handing out money to them, or what?
Yeah, I don't know if it's money. It's probably a combination of things, Teresa. It's probably money, but it's more manipulation. Barry's a very manipulating person, and he's probably got them so afraid to speak to anybody that's probably what it is more than anything. I don't know. I mean, none of us know. We've been trying to figure this out for months.
Did you talk to him before?
Talk to who?
Barry. Did you talk to Barry before? Have you spoke to Barry ever?
Me?
Yeah.
Just the one time. Oh, I gotta hold on. I'm sorry. I gotta plug my computer in. Hold on one second. I didn't realize it was unplugged.
Oh.
Are you still there, Teresa? Anybody still there? I'm so sorry, guys. My computer gives me like 2 seconds of a warning before it dies. Okay. It looks like we lost Teresa. Well, guys, I apologize for that. I didn't even know it was unplugged until that notice popped up. Teresa, are you still out there watching? All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. We're well over the hour mark. Maybe we can oh, there you are. Okay. Teresa's okay. Teresa, I apologize for that. My computer, it only gives me like 2 seconds before it dies, and I didn't even know it was unplugged. So
I understand. It's no problem at all.
that's
No
why I was like
problem.
I was jumping over the table trying to get it plugged in.
I've been there, done that.
Sorry to everybody. So
It's
Teresa,
okay. Do you have any more questions, or what were you going to say?
I've actually, in a panic, I kind of forgot where we were, but I think we were still talking about the daughters and Barry, and you had asked me if I had spoken to him, and the only time I've ever spoken to him is just that day, that I got the video. So there's just so many questions that remain.
Did you look at his arms? Did you look at his arms in that video? The back of his arms look like they're scraped up, or was it the video? His arms, the back of.
Yeah, and I know, months ago, AK and those guys, they kind of did some videos on his hands too. His hands were all kind of like tore up. Do you remember that as well?
I didn't see that one. I just saw I think the one that you had there, the camera that was hidden.
Yeah, that's the
one. His arms, his arms look like the back. I don't know if it was from the sun. It looked like they were like a rash or scratched up or whatever. I thought, what Has he been down in the debris digging?
Yeah, he was. I saw him the day before. He was down in there doing something. He was all wet and he was in a panic. I don't know what he was doing, but you know, he had some other people with him. I don't know what they were doing, but he was all, you know, and I did notice that day his hands were all chingered up, but I didn't think anything of it because he, you know, he works with his hands as a landscaper, and you know, I had a million things going through my mind. I wasn't really thinking about that at the moment. But let's see. Glam Dolly has a question here. And thank you to you guys that sent in donations. I was going to thank you and point you out until I had to jump over the table here. Does Teresa have theories about motive in the case? Could Suzanne have asked him for a divorce? What are your thoughts on that?
I just think that she was not happy there. And I think Barry was dabbling around, possibly maybe dabbling in drugs in Colorado, maybe. Because some of those people he had working for them, weren't they drug or ex-prisoners and into drugs or something? Or he even said that, didn't he? That they are on meth or...
Yeah, he had a lot of people working for him like that, but
and I possibly think maybe he had done some shoddy jobs, and Suzanne approached him, and I knew the house in Indiana. Excuse me, I know the house in Indiana was just about ready to be closed on, and there may have been an argument over what the investment over that money would have been. This is my thought, because they were to be closing on that home within a month or weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The one in Arcadia. And I just wonder if they argued over if they would possibly had argued over how the money would be invested.
Yeah, that's something that I've thought a lot about too. You know, she got about $500,000 or $600,000 in her inheritance that she sunk into there, as we all know. And
right.
I think she wanted to do certain things with that money, and Barry had other plans. Don't you?
Yes. And I think she was just in a trap. But, you know, I think she was just in a trap because, and I think he wanted her to take, not putting anybody down, but I think he wanted her to take other medications besides her chemo treatment. But I don't think she was happy out there. Because she was right in the middle of her treatment.
Yeah.
On her second relapse. And I don't think she was happy. I think she liked it maybe as like a vacation home, but not, because she was out there. She's out there all by herself, basically.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, because I've been out there a couple of different times, and that's kind of what it is. A lot of those cabins or houses up in there, they're vacation homes.
Very secluded. She was so secluded up there.
Yes, and if Barry's working, 10, 12 hours a day, she was home alone a lot, and trust me, the internet service doesn't work, the cell phone service doesn't work. So I can imagine how lonely she must have been, especially coming from such a social situation in Indiana where she had a lot of friends and family, and her dad, Gene, he ran the root beer stand. So they knew everybody. It was a whole different environment for her up there in Colorado. And I'm sure she was lonely and heartbroken,
And I could feel that, when she called me last January, I felt that I could just feel it in her voice that she was tired and she just needed to get away.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe she came here. He was supposed to have been gone, and I wonder how long he was listening to her talk. I'm wondering how long, she didn't know he came home, because she, kind of went, and she says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I have to go. I'll call you back another day." when he came in and said, who is that? And you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere.
Wow.
And he must have been, he had to have been listening. He had to have been listening to our conversation for a while.
So when he said that, and you said he sounded like a bear, like he was like, you're not going anywhere.
His voice is kind of gravelly. His voice is kind of gravelly. It's gravelly, like, and then he just, it didn't sound like he's going to hit her or anything. I mean, I couldn't see her. It wasn't FaceTime.
Well, so what was her response though? Was she embarrassed at that point?
Oh yeah. She was like, when he wasn't supposed to have been home. He was supposed to have been at some chili cook-off.
Oh, wow.
Or chili thing at the firehouse or fire something. I don't know, campfire, bonfire, something, some kind of a chili cook-off or something.
Right.
And she was home. That's why she said she would call me when he was gone. So she could, so that we
have
could
some privacy. Yeah.
Private and to look at the calendars and have, the girls were gone, school activities. It was the evening around 7, and he had to have come home. I just wonder if he really even went to some chili cook-off thing, because he came home. I mean, she didn't know he was even in the house, because it was like he was like behind her, and all of a sudden she went, and I heard him say, who is that? And you're not going anywhere. Don't even think about it.
Wow.
And I thought, I think back about it, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
What?
That's terrible.
What if she had to suffer?
Yeah.
I just pray to God she didn't suffer. But anyway, does anybody have any more questions or anything?
Well, I'll look over here and see, Teresa, but I know we've kept you on here a long time, and again, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you doing this. I know it's not easy for you, I had a good friend of mine pass away recently. She was a mentor of mine when I became a principal, and she was kind of a mother figure to me, and we had lost contact for the last couple of years. She went to a different school, and then she was getting ready to retire and this and that. But I was gonna use her as a reference, and so I Googled her name, and I stumbled upon her obituary. And it truly broke my heart. I hadn't heard anything about her dying, but it was so sudden. She went in for a procedure and she ended up dying on the operating table, but it was just heartbreaking. And so I know exactly how you're feeling about Suzanne as a friend. And it truly, people don't understand how much grief and pain is associated with that, but there truly is. And I can sense it from you, Teresa. I know it's hard to talk about, but thank you so much. That's all I'm trying to say is thank you so much for coming on here.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much. And I just pray that they find her or get a resolution of this case soon.
Yeah, me too. We're not going to stop. And just like AK put up there a little while ago, we're going to find her eventually. I feel like, we just got to keep hope alive. We got to keep talking about it. We got to keep pressure on law enforcement and just keep trying. I know it. We'll see what happens. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what the future holds, but I do have hope that we will find her someday. So
yeah, we will. We will.
Thank you, Teresa, and have a great night. And please stay in touch with me. Okay.
I sure will. You guys take care. Everybody have a good night. Okay.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
God bless everybody. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you, Triple D Shaughnessy, for the donation. It's very odd that I'm practically neighbors with Teresa, would never even know of you if it weren't for Suzanne, whom I dearly love and never even met her. Yeah, and I think you're speaking for a lot of people here tonight, Triple D. We all love Suzanne Morphew. We've all been doing this for almost a year now, trying to find out what happened to her, where she's at. And we're doing it in lieu of a lot of her family that should be doing it, like Barry, but we won't get into all that tonight. I appreciate all you guys being here. I wanted to make one more quick announcement while I got everybody on here. It looks like after 16 years of teaching and being an administrator in Arizona in education, it looks like I'm probably going to be retiring soon. So I wanted to make that announcement on here. The school that I'm at has issued me a contract for next year, but I'm not sure I'm going to accept it. I think I'm just going to be doing YouTube full time now, guys. I think I'm to the point where I can do this full time, and I'm really excited about it. Here's my contract for next year. Anybody have any guesses of what a teacher makes in Arizona? I have a master's degree and about 16 years of teaching experience. Can you guys guess what a teacher makes, what their annual salary is in Arizona? Take a guess. I'll see if anybody gets it in the comments. Triple D, I cannot find your comment here. I was going to put the next one, Justice Janney's. There we go. It was way up there. Okay. So as you can see on the bottom of the contract there, did we have any guesses? 28, 15, 38, 15? Rita? Oh, I'm so glad it's not 15. 38's closer. 70. It's actually, with a master's degree and 15 years teaching experience, $41,950. So that's what it is. And I got that on the table. They're ready for me to sign it, but it looks like I'm going to be probably doing YouTube full time, where I can put more time and attention into these cases. And so I'm pretty excited about that. So I'm excited to have you guys along on this journey. We're going to continue to follow the Suzanne Morphew case, and we're going to continue to follow all these cases. There's going to be new ones popping up, but I'm so glad that you guys are along, on this journey with me. So in conclusion, guys, we talked a little bit about Alexis Sharkey. We're going to keep bringing up more information as it comes out on that case. We're going to keep a close eye on her husband, Tom, to see what his intentions are, or his actions, I should say. We're very interested in finding out what he's doing and what his behavior is. Where's he at? What's going on? And Tom, if Tom ever sees this, I don't know if he will, but if you ever see it, Tom, please come on to my show and have a discussion with us. If I was wrong in anything that I said, please come on here and clarify it for us. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say good night. I hope you guys all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for joining us. And I will see you again on Friday. I'm going to do another live on Friday, so please join us then. Love you guys. Thank you so much for all you do. Have a good night.